Hi. Okay. I'm a little tired. I'm still adjusting to the daylight savings time thing, so it's like 9:30 in real life, but my body says it's like 10:30. So pardon me if I'm like a little lackluster. So this is a review on How to Get Away with Murder, Season 2, Episode 6, Two Birds, One Milestone or Millstone. So it starts off with the present day. Annalise is being rushed through the emergency room, and Frank is chasing after I guess, chasing after Annalise and the people helping her, asking, is she gonna be okay? Is she gonna be okay? She can't die. She can't die. He's freaking out. They kick him out, saying they have to do their work. Calm down. You'll be notified later. And he walks out of the hospital looking upset, but once he passes the last security camera, he's all calm and composed. Sociopath. He's freaking nuts. Okay. He gets to his car and we see um, Catherine all passed out in the back. Now, I know it's late at night, so nobody would really see it's not daylight, but what if somebody passed by and see her pale face in the dark of his car? Nobody called the cops, but anyway. So 2 weeks earlier, we see Frank and Loyal, like anybody cares, and after Frank is finishes business, he goes to take a shower, and Laurel, you know, goes cuckoo banana and starts going through his stuff, obviously looking for proof that he had some information about Rebecca, obviously under the influence of Wes. Anyhow, later on, she goes through his crap to find out about Rebecca. The scene cuts to Ollie presenting Connor with a list, like, okay, so here's the things that you could have done to be landing you in jail. And Connor averts it by saying, well, wasn't that serious? And he pretty much seduces Ollie, but Ollie knows what's up. He knows that he's being manipulated, but he doesn't care. Wes is calling Nate at the beginning of Annalise's class, and Nate's not picking up. And Laurel confronts him and says, I went through Frank shit because of you. And Michaela and Connor says, see, they are obsessing about, Rebecca. And they're all pretty much saying to Wes, let it alone, leave it alone. So Annalise comes into the classroom, talks about a case, and she targets Asher. Now, Asher is flashing back to when, Asher is flashing back to the video that he saw of Bonnie getting molested, and he gives the answer pretty much. The answer is discretion, pretty much indicating he's not going to testify against her. He does, in the flashback, as Asher's thinking about the video, he does ask Annalise, why does she have it? And she's like, don't worry about it. And she was like, Bonnie had good reasons to do what she did when Sam tried to attack her. So Asher's not going to testify. Asher, in fact, later on apologizes to the group for being all weird for a while, and he's like, there's some stuff going down that you couldn't even imagine, and they're like, yeah, okay, Asher, you don't know your ass from your elbow, because we killed people here. People have died, but they say, don't tell us, we don't want to know. The less we know, the better. Annalise goes to Sinclair about Asher, saying that she's his representative now, and you need to back off, or I'm going to take this to the press, saying that you're jealous, you're an egomaniac, or this could be about racism. So Anna goes back to the group and says that we have to find another suspect for the Hapsdall case. The twins, the weird twins. And at that time, her little speech about winning is interrupted by, I guess, a friend of Annalise, Professor Hartford. I think her first name is Jill. She's a transgender lady who actually has killed her husband. So Anna and her are talking on the phone. Anna's asking her what happened. She's like, oh, he attacked me. And Annalise was like, is there anything broke? Has anything broken in this? Was there signs of a struggle? And she said, oh, I was scratched a little bit, and some of the furniture is in disarray. So Annalise goes over there to see her. Well, before Annalise goes to see there, Bonnie and Asher have a little heart-to-heart where Asher apologizes and says he understands why she did what she did, but he doesn't mention the molestation tape. And Bonnie says, you know, Bonnie says, thank you for defending her. Before that, Annalise and Bonnie talk about the fact that Asher won't testify, and Bonnie's kind of in disbelief, like, wait a second, he was really adamant about testifying, and Annalise is like, you did good, girl, don't worry about it. And Bonnie, you could tell, hasn't dropped it, but she thanks Asher, and they're cool. They're not together again, but they're cool. And he asks, can Annalise handle what's going on? And Bonnie's like, Annalise handles everything. So the kids are talking about another suspect for the Hapstall case, and as they're talking about, it could be the not the aunt, because the aunt is dead, but somebody attached to the aunt, the maid that revealed that they were kissing, but they weren't really kissing, or the birth parent. And Michaela doesn't want to go the birth parent route, and neither does Caleb, and they share a moment because of that. Annalise, while she's with the transgender lady, Professor Hartford, Annalise figures out that she staged the crime scene, and while she brings it to the Professor Hartford, like, look here, you staged the crime scene. Why did you do it? Before she can get really an answer, the cop rolls up on her with her old ID when she was a man and says, "Oh, your husband found out about you. That's why he attacked you. That's why you killed him," and pretty much showing his transphobia. And Jill, the professor who killed her husband, the transgender who killed her husband, pretty much said, "Oh, you'll be next." She kind of threatened the cop. So Annalise is like really? Anyhow, okay, so Wes talks to Nate while he's at the Hapstall house. He talks to Nate. Nate is completely indifferent. Nate does not care. Wes thinks Levi was set up by Annalise, and Nate was like, I don't give a fuck. And he hangs up on him. He's done with it. Connor tries to convince Michaela, while they're discussing the case still at the Hapstall house, Connor tries to say to Michaela, you and Caleb have a thing. Now that your druggy boyfriend is in jail, why don't you do something with Caleb? And Michaela's not having it, and then they realize, and they also pretty much indicate that they don't believe that the twins are innocent. Who's it? Laurel realizes that Catherine has been recording them, and so they freak out. And then the next scene is Anna calling them garbage, which I don't think a professor can call you garbage. I think that's a situation you could bring up with the dean of students. I think that's not a good thing. I think somebody could lose their job about that. I know somebody who lost their job for calling a student a bimbo, but we're not going to get into that. Anyhow, so she calls them garbage, and the Hapstalls don't want the kids on their case anymore. While they're having that conversation, Anna goes and tells Bonnie that they have to find a witness who caught. Oh, Hartford's thing is her husband has been beating her, and that's why she had to defend herself. So Anna asks Bonnie to find a witness to this effect, and while she's giving Bonnie instructions, Frank comes in and says Nate's wife has died. Anna goes to see Nate with a peach cobbler, and she leaves it on his doorstep because he doesn't answer. He's in his apartment, though. So the kids review possible suspects. Again, Michaela talks about the fact, she brings up the fact that she was adopted. She doesn't want to talk about it, and she doesn't think the birth parents would do such a thing. Laurel and they start talking about how Wes has driven them crazy, and it's because of Wes that they're all in their heads. So Laurel's like, we should ask Frank if he killed Rebecca. So they go up to Frank, ask if he killed Rebecca. He's like, no. They're like, we know about the money, and he's like, yeah, of course I knew you knew about the money, and it was hush money for Rebecca if she ever came back, but she hasn't come back. I didn't kill her, so don't ask me again. In the middle of this, a student comes in to claim that she witnessed Professor Hartford's husband, hitting her, and Anna sees right through it, confronts Professor Hartford, and she says she was mad at Professor Hartford, but she was more mad that she didn't think of it herself. So she brings it to the cops, and the cops is like, well, we know you were on the phone with her before she called us, in which case we could charge you for accessory after the fact. And, she's obviously, you coached her. So Annalise is like, damn it, I got to think of another plan. Frank not Frank. Asher goes to Annalise and says that he received a call about Tiffany Howard, which is the girl involved with the lake situation, what Sinclair was blackmailing Asher with. Um, and he's also saying that his dad is going to be a dog without a bone. He's going to try to get them, and this is a problem. Annalise looks at him and she's like, okay, I'll handle it. But then she goes and tells Frank to gather as much evidence on Asher's dad, Milestone, as much as possible. So she calls this kill two birds, um, two birds and one millstone. She brings this up to the DA and says, gives all the dirt that she has on Milestone and says, you're going to drop the charges against Hartford and call it self-defense, and you're also going to tell Sinclair to back up off me and my staff and stop investigating us. And you could use this information to run for office on a anti-corruption ticket, and the DA takes it. Anna goes to Hartford and tells her she's free. They share I hate my husband, I'm glad he's dead moment. Super morbid. And they're both happy that their husbands are dead, whatever. So Ali hacks into an adoption agency, and they find a record of the aunt, the racist aunt who was killed. She had a son, and she was using an offshore account to finance this son. And so now they have a suspect. If the twins are in jail and everybody's dead, he will get it all. He'll get the whole pot. Anna tells this to the twins, and she's like, it's these kids, these knuckleheads who figured this out. So, you should have them on the case. They're worthy. Caleb wants to know if Michaela's single. They have a moment. Obviously, they're going to hook up. Good for her, because he is cute. Oh, chocolate skin with blue eyes. Okay. Anna goes to Nate with another pie. He opens the door and blames her for his misery and the time that he missed with his wife because of the time that she framed him. But we're not going to talk about the time where you were, having sex with Annalise while your wife was still alive, before the whole jail thing, before the whole frame up. Right, it's all Annalise's fault. Like, what is with these men and not taking responsibility for what they do? But whatever. Anyhow, so he's a dick. So Annalise, where she goes? Oh, when Annalise is leaving his apartment, Nate's apartment, she sees Wes, and Wes is getting on my nerves too. I miss Wes drinking the Kool-Aid and believing in it, but whatever. Anyhow, so Frank brings Laurel to meet his family, like a sweet Italian family. It's so cute. I like his family. I've met families like that before. Anyhow, so Annalise is waiting for Wes at his apartment, and they have this weird confrontation where she's like, you don't trust anybody, and he's like, you're nothing like my mom, and it's weird. What is their situation? I swear that Annalise is his mother. That's the only thing that makes sense. So Asher's dad tells him that, I know you're setting me up, and now there's a whole corruption thing on me now, and you're done. We're done. And so he's cut off Asher. And Sinclair tells Bonnie that Tiffany Howard, the one who's involved in Asher's case, she was gang raped. So that must mean we can assume that Asher was a participant in some way in a gang rape. That breaks my heart, because I actually like Asher. Asher, I think, is my favorite male character besides Ollie. I like Ollie too. So I'm a little upset about that. And he was funny. Now he's not funny anymore. And Annalise made a comment like, oh, everybody in this house has to grow up sometime. I'm like, shit, Annalise, you cold-blooded. Ollie tells Connor that he hacked into the Hapstall's cousin's computer. And Connor's like, no, you shouldn't have done that. And while they're talking about how it's a bad idea for him to hack it, they're looking at a still picture of him. The cousin has actually hacked into Ollie's computer, and he's watching Connor and Ollie talk about him. And he looks crazy. So, shit, he's probably the murderer. But anyhow, Wes and Annalise are weird, no more keeping secrets. That's what they agreed upon. Ick. And then we flash forward to Frank, who has Catherine's body. Annalise calls Frank to make sure that he disposed of Rebecca's body in the 2 weeks earlier. And Frank is out there disposing of Rebecca's body, but it also splits between present time, where he has Catherine's unconscious body, and he lays her out in the middle of the woods. Now, there are cops. It's early the next day after he lays her out in the woods. the cops are looking for her with a dog, and they find her, and Catherine wakes up. So we know Catherine's not dead, but she has blood splatter on her. So I don't know what that's about, but that was How to Get Away with Murder. It was an okay episode. I didn't like the case in the middle of it. I thought it was kind of BSy. Like, we know Annalisa's happy. That, like, how did it lend to the story is my question. I don't think it did, so I didn't really care for the case. I feel bad for Ollie. I don't want anything to happen to him. Like, sweet fancy Moses. I'm sad for Asher. I'm also sad for Bonnie because, like, finding out the guy you love is a gang rapist, there's no coming back from that. That's pretty much on the level of pedophilia and being a rabid racist. It's a bad thing for Asher. It's a bad look for Asher. So tell me your thoughts on it, and I will catch you in the next video. Bye-bye!